Hi everyone, hope you had a good weekend. It's been super gloomy and rainy here today in Norwich in the UK. Hopefully I can make your day a little bit brighter today with what we're going to talk about. So we're going to talk about posture. Now posture, and it comes to back pain, is an interesting one because doctors have traditionally put a huge emphasis on posture. Like, you have to have a good posture, if not you'll get back pain. It's like their go-to piece of advice for anyone who goes in with back pain. Lose a bit of weight, they always say strengthen your core, and they always say, try and improve your posture. And speaking as a chiropractor, for some reason, my profession loves to talk about posture for back pain. Posture to them is of a huge importance. And what I want to do for a moment is I just want to put that aside so we can just ask ourselves, how important actually is posture when it comes to back pain? Well, what we've seen from the research and what you'll find within our program is we believe that the truth is actually it's not as important as we would have traditionally believed. Now, what we do on the spinal recovery program to make sense of all this, we break posture down into two categories. So we have desk posture and non-desk posture. So desk posture is all of that stuff, like when you're sitting for a long time, that's how you're going to sit. So the reason we call it desk posture is because a lot of people spend a lot of time sitting at a desk each day at work. The non-desk posture stuff, that covers things like leg length difference, if you have flat feet, or the degree of the curves in your spine, how far forward your head sits on your shoulders, or if your shoulders are rounded or not, things like that. And what I want to talk about first is I want to talk about desk posture. So conventional wisdom tells us that the really important thing to do when you're sat down is to sit up straight, chin tucked in, puff your chest out, shoulders back, and we need to decide, is that actually a good, should everyone be sitting like that? Is that a good thing for everyone to do, Do we all need to be aiming to do that? The research would say no, probably not. What the research actually indicates is that you should just be sitting however you feel comfortable. So I'm sat at my desk right now. When I'm doing work, you'll often find me leaning forwards if I'm reading. If sometimes I'm slumped backwards, you just got to shuffle around and just sit however you feel comfortable to sit at that point. So I actually just encourage my patients to fidget around. We use the phrase, your best posture is your next posture. So that just means feel free to move, sit however you want to. There's no constraints. You don't have to. There's nothing you specifically have to do when you're sat at a desk. There's no point forcing yourself to sit up straight all day if that's just aggravating your back pain, and that just slumping down feels loads more comfy. There's no real benefit to doing that. We actually know that if you're going to sit up straight and aggravate your pain, then that's exactly all you're doing. You're just aggravating your back pain. You're making it harder for you to recover. So slumping down in your chair is probably going to be really beneficial for you to do. The same thing goes the other way though. So if slumping in your chair aggravates your pain, then get some cushions and stuff behind your low back and let it sit you up straighter. We strongly oppose this idea that everybody should sit at a desk in the same way, because everybody is a different shape and size, and your desk posture, how you sit for a long period of time, should mirror that. Now, I've actually I've done an article on this. It's on our website, and I've read a lot of research in this, and I've actually read a study that says the determining factor around sitting down for a long time isn't how you're sat down, it's purely just the amount of time you're sitting for. So again, it comes back to what I said before, get up, move around, change how you're sat. Don't feel you have to stay in that single position, because especially if it's aggravating your back, it's probably not going to be something that's going to help you. Now, non-desk posture. So this is where we talk about the shape of our bodies. Okay, so there's loads of different things that our patients have told us. So it's things like the doctor or another clinician might have said to them, you have shoulder pain because your shoulders are really rounded, or you have pain at the bottom of your back because you've got a really big curve in through the base of your spine, or you've got pain at the base of your spine in your pelvis because you've got one leg longer than the other and your pelvis tips that way, or you have back pain because your arches have collapsed because you've got flat feet. And whilst I could go through and go through some research papers for every single example I've just given there. That would take ages. So what I will say on the topic is this: whilst all those things I've mentioned, so rounded shoulders, big curves or very small curves in the base of your in your lower back, or having flat feet, or not having one leg longer than the other, all of those things are going to be things that maybe play a role in your pain, maybe, and they're only going to play a role in it, which means they don't take up, they're not the single factor. Okay, 100%, I can promise you they're not going to be the single underlying factor that if you can correct it will cure all your pain. It's very, very, very unlikely that is going to be the case. And we actually find that with patients, that because that structural change within our body is not going to be the single underlying cause for most of those patients, it's trying to change those things is likely to be more stress than it's worth. Why? Well, because all of the things that I've just mentioned are governed by your genetics. So your genetics say how big the curves in your back should be. They say how flat your feet are going to be, how high the arches are or how low they're going to be. They say how long each leg is going to be. So trying to change something that is coded for in your genetics is probably going to be really, really tricky. What we advise our patients to do is to just kind of, all right, maybe you have got one leg longer than the other, and that is playing a role in your back pain. We can't change that, so let's just put that to the side for a moment. Let's just focus on talking about what we can change. So what can we change? Well, we can move more, okay? We can be more active. The NHS recommends 150 minutes of moderate physical exercise a week. So that's a form of physical exercise that gets your pulse up. Can we make some effort to start progressively increasing towards those 150 minutes? Can we manage our stress better? Can we re-educate ourselves on how we think or how we know back pain works? Can we focus some time and energy on getting better quantity and better quality of sleep? So these things that I've now mentioned have a massive carryover to your symptoms. So if you can implement that, you're going to notice a much, much bigger improvement in your symptoms than if you focus trying to change your leg length, or if you spend loads of money on some posh arches for your feet, or if you do loads and loads of core exercises to try and decrease the curve at the bottom of your back. Those things have a far, far greater carryover that I've mentioned about stress management and sleep than any of the trying to correct anything biomechanically about yourself. So don't be disheartened if you think, my posture's just not very good, it's not how I would want it, my head pokes too far forward, or I'm really hunched. We don't all fit into that perfect posture kind of model that we always get shown in images, where they stand someone upright, and if your head's forward, they put this red line and say, no, the head shouldn't be there, it should be here, and the person with their head there has this lovely green line, because in all honesty, it's probably not that important what your posture looks like. Your posture changes throughout the day, all day, every day. When I first get up in the morning and I'm tired, yes, my head's going to sit a bit further forward and I'm going to be a bit hunched. If I've just done a deadlift workout, I'm probably going to be stood really upright because the muscles in my back are going to be more active. Posture changes all the time, and what the take-home message for you guys is the important thing is to focus on the things that you can implement, move your attention away from the things you can't change, and then we go from there. So I hope that you guys found that helpful. Stick any of your questions in the video below. This is something that sometimes is a bit tricky for people to get their heads around, because we've always been told that posture is super, super important, and I'm telling you that perhaps it's not as important as we thought. I hope that brightened your gloomy, rainy, autumnal day, and we'll catch up again soon.